Hi everyone, this is Wilmar Calagos again, and today we will be going over Step 1 Foundation Module 2, which is niche focus. So, if you are a new entrepreneur and you have a particular, or maybe you don't have an idea of what you want to do, this exercise will completely give you the clarity that you need to figure out what you're going to do and how to choose what you're going to start with. And so, having a niche specifically in the beginning will help tremendously with one, your marketing budget, and two, just really creating a clear, precise plan in how you're going to market and how you're going to enter a market. So a good example is actually UGG boots. So if you do some research on UGG boots, when they first started, their boots were really specifically marketed and made specifically for surfers. I mean, the material that it was used, the way the inside of the shoe was made, and the material really was made for surfers so that when they got out of the water, they can put on boots that were comfortable, that would, soak up the water, and their marketing and their message was focused on exactly with surfers. And so they had a predictable way of who were they going to market, and that their marketing was very trackable because they marketed to people that they knew would sell, and they would know when they actually made the sale. And so in the beginning, you want to be very, very narrow, and when you enter in the market, so that you can position yourself as an expert in one particular thing and then become successful at that thing. And then once you get income and cash flow, you can, sky's the limit. You can go into any other product or service that you want, but you need to be a king of a hill of something in the beginning. So a niche focus is really important. The other part of this module, if you are a startup or you're a business owner, is really looking at the products and services you currently have, and really evaluating, which ones, one, are profitable, two, which ones do I actually enjoy, like working and developing, doing some R&D on. And so you'll go through an exercise so that you can figure out, one, maybe you need to refocus or focus on one or two things because you're focused on 10 things and none of it is working, and the message isn't clear. Your company is doing a bunch of different things, so people can't really see, and two, can't really find you in the marketplace for you to stick out in some way. So having a niche in the beginning, or figuring out that niche in the sea of products or services that you have, may be helpful. It will definitely be helpful with systemizing your business for sure. So here's what we're going to cover. In this module, you will be narrowing down your focus and determining your niche for the business owners. Picking a market segment to target if you are already in business with a product or service. For those of you who are just starting a business, this module will help you discover your niche and what you will be focusing on to develop your product and service. So let's just jump into it and get into Step 1 Foundation, Module 2, Niche Focus. And so this is what we did last time, Foundation. And now we're going to go to Module number 2, which is your focus and your niche. In this module, you'll be narrowing down your focus and determining your niche as you go through the process of honing in on 1 to 2 product or services. You will be You will also be picking a market segment to target for those of you who are just starting. Again, this module will help you discover a niche and what to focus on to develop your product or service. Now, if you're in this program and you already have a pretty defined, service where you do one or two service and you're happy with those services, then go ahead and skip to step 4. If not, let's go through the questions. So, as if I told you guys my process when I first started my company, is I really went back through my work history. I kind of went back to see, okay, what did I do really well? How did I bring value? And I've made, a ton of business owners a ton of money, and also big corporations, with me setting up systems and me being good at being a critical thinker. I'm not only on the systems part and not the technology part, but I'm also people person, so that I naturally love people and can pretty much work with people, hone in on what they do really well, and then have them transfer that skill into the department or the team that I was working with, so that we can maximize everybody's skill set to get the most return on investment on time, and also obviously revenue. And so make a list of industries you have been exposed to or have some knowledge of understanding. And so this could be, I didn't grow up in a business type of family. My dad or my mom didn't own any kind of businesses, and so a lot of my business background came from just meeting people that were in business and that knew people in business, so I would hang around with them. There wasn't really any particular type of business that people were in. It was just, the first thing was actually mortgages. So let me just write mortgage. My brother-in-law told me that his brother's friend worked for Wells Fargo and was making $15,000 to $20,000 a month, being a mortgage representative for a lender. And so that's how I got into that industry. I'll just put real estate, and then I figured, if I'm already doing real estate, or mortgage, why don't I do real estate? So back then, it's changed a lot now. Yeah, you can't make money on the real estate and also the loan on the same transaction. You can still do both, but it has to be separate. You can't be on the same deal. So back then, you were able to do that. And so for me, when I was in the real estate and mortgage business, to me, that's when I felt really powerful and in control of all my deals, because I would work with a buyer, and then we would find a house, but I would be also their mortgage loan officer. And so I know exactly where my loan was. So, depending on who you work with back then, it's, a lot of times, loan officers are the ones that kind of mess things up with the transaction because they can't get the funding, or they're not on top of things as far as meeting conditions and meeting the deadlines before, the rate locks expires and stuff like that. So literally, like when I was in real estate and mortgage, I can do A through Z. I can literally take a client, get them a house, down to going to the lender, getting them all their conditions, and then, going to the escrow company so they can cut me a check for the real estate and the mortgage side. So I knew the gamut of how to even process loans and then do the real estate side as well. Let's see. I did a little bit of sales that I was exposed to. Did some phones, telemarketing things. I did some valet. And then also I did customer service. So I also worked for like Ross, and then I worked for like an insurance company. And so make a list of the industries that you're exposed to and know and understand. This will really help a lot, especially if you're a new entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out, okay, I want to be in business, but I don't know what to do. And so I actually went through this process, and I was kind of thinking about, what, maybe I should, start a consulting company that only focused on mortgages or real estate. And I can, because what I did was I worked for a broker. He wasn't, he didn't have mortgage experience or didn't do mortgages in-house. And so I came up to him, say, hey, teach me real estate. I will build your mortgage department from scratch, and literally creating a new stream of income for him. And I built basically his mortgage division from scratch and did the database and everything. So I was like, you know what, I'm already knowledgeable, I have the credibility, why don't I just do that? So that was like one of my ideas when I was going through this process. I did telemarketing. I didn't really like it, and sales was something that I wasn't really fond with, so I kind of just skipped that part. I looked at valet, so I worked for owners. We would do like valet and stuff for like very like wealthy country clubs and stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I can create like some kind of app. I can create some kind of like mobile solution, or I can create a company where I provide valet service. So things that you've already done, and kind of go through to see what you could like really do, and create value. So I did customer service. I was like a bellman for like a hotel, and then worked in like different departments at a hotel. And so I was also thinking about maybe creating an app to where you can run the whole hotel based on this app. From housekeeping to front desk, and literally train people on an iPad. So I was kind of thinking doing something like that, and then maybe doing consulting. And so you go through this process so that you can kind of figure out what business you wanna do, or maybe perhaps pursue. And so just write down exactly what industries you're familiar with. Maybe your dad or your mom are in business. Maybe they're in real estate. I met a person on Instagram that hit me up on Instagram, and his family's basically all about real estate, and that's they've created their assets and their wealth just doing real estate. And so now he's building also that. So he has the infrastructure, he has the support, and there's successes in his family. So it kind of just makes sense for him to do it. But now he's doing it in a different way, and he's kind of digitizing and being able to scale, not only have income from all the real estate that he's purchasing, but he's also doing a digital play where he wants to teach other people what he's doing in like real live scenarios of even like rehabbing and also doing flips. So for him, it just kind of made sense for him to go in that direction. And so 2, make a list of the things you love doing and passionate about. This is, to me, very easy. For me, it's teaching, mentoring, and then education. For me, teaching and mentoring is key because I've always loved teaching. Mentoring is something I'm passionate about because it was really tough to find mentors. Most of my mentors are, YouTube mentors that, I've only had one real mentor, and he was the one that taught me the real estate game. But I think mentoring is super, super key, and it was just tough for me to, go to different levels and status in business, because a lot of times I did make my employers a lot of money and created a lot of value, but they didn't really teach me the game so that I could, in a sense, surpass them or be as successful as them. So education is something I always value, like reading books and just, taking courses and learning. For me, it was like learning websites and affiliate marketing and all kinds of things that I've gotten to learn, that were hard to learn, but you push through and not give up. And so make a list of things that you're passionate about. Step 3: make a list of skills you currently have and can do really well. This one's easy as well for me to answer. To me, is being a critical thinker. I'm a thinker. I can, if you tell me you want to do something, you can't figure it out, I will stay up endless nights to figure it out for you. For example, like, one of my clients wanted to create some content. He wanted to, have an app that was pretty much accessible to any of the platforms and any of the devices, but he didn't want to build an app for himself because he wanted to be something like sufficient and not cost so much money, but he wanted to be accessible to everybody. He wanted to create a simple website where people can, pay a subscription every single month. And so, he came to me and asked me if I would help with that project. And I pretty much did my homework, found some people that have figured out how to do it, putting 2 and 2 together. And so now he has an application that you can literally even put even on the PlayStation, and people can view content. And it's a relatively very cost-effective way to even manage, which is pretty amazing. So I'm really good with being a critical thinker. I'm a strategist. And then I am a systems guy. And then what I can do really well is be the number 2 or number 3 person of a company. Why is that important to me? Because I know how to execute. And so when I take all of these skills that I have, I know that I can sit down with somebody that has an idea in their head, and they have to be passionate about it. I have a current client right now that has been in the fishing industry, and he wants to create this product. And I looked him up, looked at his credentials. He has fishing videos everywhere with like different companies like on their website. So he's and he wants to create this product. And so for me, I'm a critical thinker, I'm a strategist, and I can execute. And so currently right now where we stand is he's trying to find a investor. So we're trying to raise a small round. And then if everything goes right, he has a partner. And so I may be a strategic partner in basically setting up all their systems and essentially owning a company. So as you can see, the skill set that you place right here may not, you may think, if you're a new entrepreneur, you may think they have no value, right? But they truly do have value. I mean, obviously you have to, develop them. For me, it's business. So therefore, all my life I've been in business, and I got really serious, with my business, and really like dug into books and researched and, looked at technology and, and just, years of really digging in. And so, you definitely have to develop, these skills, but, potentially these can, one, get you to a place where someone will pay you for the value that you can put in as far as your skills. But also, knowing them and writing them down is another thing, because it allows you to think about how you brought value to other people. So when you're doing step 3 is, think about the skill set, but think about what you did to really bring value to other people with these skill sets. And then the next question is, based on the 3 lists you completed above, what niche product or service can you develop for your new business? What skill can you bring to the market you are already familiar with or have exposure to? Can you see yourself committing to this product or service for at least a year to develop? And then, for me, at where I'm at currently, this business, I'm in this for like the long term. So I'm not in a rush, but I'm also don't want to do it slow either. And so for me, I'm in this for the long run, and I really want to create as much value to people as possible. I'm getting also into that age where legacy, is very important to me, and I want to impact as many people as possible with this business and the other projects, that I have. And so, it definitely needs to be something that you're going to be committing to for at least a year or more to develop. And if that if you're a new entrepreneur, a year is like a good amount of time to really figure out a real business. But for most people, they just want to start something, make money, and I understand that completely. And so definitely have a balance in making sure, one, you want to commit and do something that you love long term, because it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of patience. All right. Okay, now we get to this part, which is do a PMRP value index module to figure out your ideal market and niche focus. You will have 4 criteria of each segment, rating them at 1 to 10, 10 being really good. So personal satisfaction, marketplace buy-in, return on investment, ROI, and then your product delivery. So P, personal satisfaction. How much do you enjoy working with this type of customer, with this market segment? Is the mental, emotions worth it personally? So this is, this is something that you can think about if you're a new entrepreneur, but this is really pertaining to the business owners and the startups that already have product and services in place and they're already selling it. So what we're trying to determine is, can we narrow down that list, assuming you have like 5, 6, 7 different products. And so can we hone those down to maybe 1 to 3 and refocus your business, and then also build systems and processes and documentations around it. And so P is personal satisfaction. M is marketplace buy-in. How much does this market segment value your work? Are they willing to pay a lot for your work? And so look at your products. How much value are you bringing to the marketplace, and are they paying you enough so that you can have a sustainable business where you can, you add value, but you can also make money to sustain your employees, your expenses, and also you as a business owner. And then return on investment. How profitable is the work you do for this market? Is the time and resources invested worth the cost to do them? And then P, product delivery fulfillment. How proud are you of your work with this market segment? Are you happy with the final product or service after delivering it to your customer? So that's a really good question, because if you do a service and it's not that great, let's say it's probably like a 6 or a 7, most likely people aren't going to tell other people about your services. So you continue to get new customers, but you don't have returning customers that actually, try your service or stay with you a lot longer. And so product delivery fulfillment based on your delivery and then your customers' satisfaction. And so we'll go through this. Let's just create a product or a service. Let's just do valet service. Say I do valet service, personal satisfaction. Maybe it's like 6. Maybe I have a team and I don't even really show up. And then marketplace buy-in. Valet services, if you have your own, they actually play pretty decent. So let's just say an 8 if you get like a country club, like a friend of mine that has one, and he does like events in like La Jolla, so pretty affluent area that pay a lot. The return on investment maybe a 7. And then product delivery, they're always satisfied, so maybe it's like a 9. All right, so you kind of add up all of that, 14, 21, and then it's a 30. Okay, and then maybe with your valet service, you have like a shuttle service, right? And then personal satisfaction, you probably maybe like this even more because you actually get to interact with customers. Market buy-in, people love it. Return on investment is a lot. I know a guy that I met that does like 3,000-4,000 on one vehicle. Product delivery, it's a 9. So you have 19, 28, so you have 36. Okay, so you get the idea. So once you kind of do this, then you're going to reevaluate your scores. And then on step 7, decide what your niche focus will be, what your niche and your target market, and who is your ideal customer or client that you want to focus on. So maybe based on this scenario, maybe if I focus on the shuttle service, and maybe since I don't have any vehicles or anything like that, just staff for my valet service that I provide, then maybe if I focus on shuttle for like 6 months to 12 months, and focus marketing, then maybe I can increase revenue and build my company with the shuttle service. And then once it's very successful, maybe I want to segue and do valet services again. So that's the process of step 1 foundation and module, which is your niche and your focus. And so this may be, this is going to take you some time, especially if you're a new entrepreneur. If you are a startup or a company that is already running, sometimes it might just be simple. Sometimes you just have to look at the numbers. Numbers tell a lot, especially if you run a pretty big organization and maybe just focusing on one thing. I know with Steve Jobs, when the board finally got him back to Apple, he basically focused on the three things: the iPhone, iPad, and I think the computer. So basically, just focused on four things that he was just going to focus on marketing and making those really, really well, performing really, really well, and just building a business with those couple of items, couple of products. And so that's why we still have Apple today. And so again, the four reminders, four things that matter when you systemize the business. Systems, figuring out your systems, your processes, documentation, and then executing them. Aside from closing sales, you will be tempted to do other things. But when it comes to systemization, your brain power has to be focused on these four parts. Implementing systems you need today, figuring out its processes, documenting them, and then executing them. All right. This is a great module. Take your time on this and really think through, because this is what you're going to be spending and developing and thinking about for a good amount of time, so you can go to market or maybe relaunching your company or rebranding, whatever it may be. This is going to get you to focus and bring back more or clarify more your identity of your company. So I will see you on the next video right now.